Hey y'all, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to I'm about to say a beautiful life. It is a beautiful life, an unscripted beautiful life. I am your host, Miss Beautiful Katrina. Mr. Beautiful is attending an event with our daughter, so he may not be here or he may come in a little later. But I am joined by my beautiful friend, Nikki Howard. So let me just read her bio real quick. Nikki Howard is the visionary behind Let Her Exist, a movement rooted in deep self acceptance and authentic expression. With over 20 years of experience in creative consulting, personal development, and intellectual property, Nikki believes true fulfillment comes from alignment, not just achievement. As the founder of FlowLife Solutions, LLC, she helps others reconnect with their authentic selves using human design as a guiding framework. Known for her laid back yet deeply intentional presence, Nikki's words don't just inspire, they shift perspective and invite transformation. How does that feel when somebody else says all that?
Listen, you have to, when you first start hearing certain things or you're trying to, especially when you're trying to do stuff like that, like trying to write a bio and stuff. And at first, the things feel, that sounds like, but like too much, or I don't know, you're saying too much. But then after you start doing the true self discovery work, and then you start paying attention to how you show up, the effect that you have with your presence, and then it's really more you convincing you than you trying to convince other people.
Yeah, that part right there. That part right there. We
Or
go
God
through the
trying to
whole
convince you. He's like, I done told you the first time. I done told you what
yes,
it is.
yes, yes, yes. So I am grateful for your yes and being a speaker for a beautiful encounter. I am like, she said yes. Like, okay. And when you were sending me the things, and I'm like, where is the stuff on Let Her Exist? Right? You're giving me all the corporate stuff, right? All the other stuff. And Let Her Exist. Can you tell us what that is so that our viewers, those who may catch the replay, will understand? Oh, that's why. Yeah. Hey, Tiff.
So let her exist. First, let me start by saying that usually when God is talking to me and he's giving me messages, he gives me these short little phrases and concepts, but they end up meaning so much and having so much power. So let her exist. Just the words themselves came to me during a period of time when I was doing like another level of spiritual growth. And I was doing this course called I was working with a spiritual like mentor, and she had a book called Worthy. So we were going through this whole book on worthy, and just truly understanding our true worthiness, learning to see ourselves the way that God sees us. And so during that time, I was just like, stop trying to fix everything. You know, you keep trying to wait until you get this part of your life right, or till you fix this little thing, or till you're sure about that. And I was just like, just let her exist, let her be. Because I was thinking about how, when we're little, or when we're dressing, when we used to dress and you're constantly fixing and tugging on your clothes, tucking in your shirt, making sure your socks were folded down just so, you know what I'm saying? And just
Mhm.
fixing everything. And I was just like, let her exist, let her be, because the areas that you think are the flaws, the areas that you think are not perfect, the things that you're trying to hide, or the things that you're trying to further develop or perfect, they need light to grow. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, just let it be, because it needs exposure. It needs exposure to light. It needs exposure to environments. even in order to develop. And yeah, so that's how it started.
Listen,
that's that's how it started.
I just gotta go back to your bio because known for her laid back yet deeply intentional presence. Because what you just said alone, that was like, all right, good night. We'll see y'all in June. Because listen, y'all, to know how you had to go through the process, right? Of, going through the book, your human design stuff, and working through guiding others through human design. Like when you said let her exist, it's come on like we hide. How many times are we trying? Oh, I can't do this because it's not perfect yet. Or I don't have a plan. My head gotta be this, my head gotta be that. I gotta lose the little side hand, the handles and all of those other things. And it's just let her be. Hey Yolanda, hey beautiful. So thank you for that. How does that feel? Like now, you heard God say, let her exist. And now that you are walking into that side of things of presenting, let her exist to the world, what does that look like? What does that feel like for you?
It feels like, you know, when we're in the 12 community and she's always saying being a product of the product, it's like that. It's like even when you step out to do things and then I have to keep reminding myself, let her exist. Give her the freedom to not be perfect. Allow it to evolve. And the whole let her exist thing is been evolving. And so I started recognizing like it's bigger than even when I first said it. When I first said it, I just shared it with some women on a phone, on a call. And like, as I'm processing it, let her exist. And then someone says to me, ooh, that's powerful. And then someone says to me a couple of years later, hey, I just want you to know I still have this sticky note on my wall that says, let her exist. She showed me the picture, the date, and my name. And I was like, what? So I kept saying to myself, I'm going to put it on a shirt, right? It was an idea. And I always say things like that. I'm going to put it on a shirt. Um, but then when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to do it, you know, I had these ideas. Like I talk about how much I admire your creativity all the time. But I have the idea, but I don't even know how to do it. I don't know how to convey the vision to someone for them to help me to do it. Um, and so I kept putting it off because I get frustrated or like, oh, maybe this person could help me. And I give them the words and they come back with something. I'm like, that was so far from where I was thinking, right? And so I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Came back with something and it wasn't perfect. It was nice, but it wasn't the full vision of what I had. And I said, you know what? You're gonna go with what you got. And that to me is part of letting her exist because it's letting your ideas get it to stand a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, that's
let
so
it
good,
stand a
Nikki.
chance.
Listen, I'm writing notes here. Keep going because I know
Oh.
you're not finished.
Yeah, so like, yeah, so let it stand a chance. And even when last year, I did, a small let her exist event here in Atlanta, and the whole process was that it was let it exist. And so what ended up happening was the vision that I had was about the butterfly and the process that the caterpillar goes through to become the beautiful butterfly. Those three words started just taking on a life of their own, each individually. Like let was enough. I was like, that let. You know how much it takes to let something be or let something happen? or to allow, just allow. So that whole thing became allowance. And then let her, and her became a whole other thing. Who are you? Who is she? And what are the parts of you that you have to revisit, the parts of you have to nurture? So went into this whole deep dive. And then exist is just like the beautiful butterfly, the freedom, the celebration of everything that you are. And so it started even taking, as I started doing my own work, even with the human design and all of that, so many of the processes of the work was overlaying the let her exist. And I'm like, God, you intended this to happen. And so it just kept adding layers to it. And so it's the evolution, and it's going to continue to evolve. So
I'm glad
understanding
you.
it from, yeah, understanding it from that perspective, and understanding that like the work is about evolution, and it is an evolution.
So thank you for that. Hey, Alicia. So my question, as you were saying that, and then when you said evolve and the growth and all the other stuff, is there a journal or a book or something that is coming out of this? Like, are you sitting on that, all of what you just shared? Because to me, that feels like that's a whole workbook, something or other that you need to, give to the world type of thing. Just planting the seed.
I hear you, but to be honest, every time, like I've never, like, of all the dreams, I have a lot. Of all the dreams I've ever had, it never really was like a book. Like, oh, I want to be an author, I want to write a book. But if that comes out of it, to me, it's just more of it's a think piece. It's something to talk about. It's work to do. It's workshoppy. Like it's that's what it is. Now.
Okay. So listen, y'all just heard her. She said workshop. If y'all don't have y'all ticket for a beautiful encounter, y'all gotta go get it, because what I'm telling you, when this is just like the little tip of the iceberg. Like, she gonna go deeper, but all seriousness. So I know you do a lot of human design. And I loved in your bio when you talk about helping others come into the fulfillment of being in alignment, right? So alignment over achievement. What does that mean?
So what that means is that for a long time, I didn't feel successful because there were a lot of things that I didn't have. Credentials, college, a certain amount of salary, um, certain size house. Like there were just certain things that I didn't have. And then I used to feel really, really bad. Like really bad. I tried to go back to school. Right. I kept trying to go back to school. And then as I started moving further into like my own self-discovery and all of that, and I just realized that I was making myself feel bad for things that when I truly, truly went inside myself, I didn't want them. I didn't want those things necessarily. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying, but you sitting here feeling icky, like bad for not having something that you really probably didn't even really want, you know? And so the alignment over the achievement is really asking yourself the question, what do you want? What do you want? Because a lot of the things that we have or get or striving after or feeling regretful and all of the things that we don't, if we don't have them yet, if we sat with ourselves long enough, quiet enough, we realize that those are not the things that even bring us fulfillment. So the goal is what fulfills you. What are you satisfied with over and it's not to even knock those things, because when you do some people's personality assessments or human design or anything, that's truly part of who they are.
Hmm.
But you could be looking at somebody else do something and think that that is like right.
It becomes our definition of what we think success is.
Exactly.
But until we can break that down for us, right? There was a question I got today on something, and the question was, what was my original definition of what success was, and then what do I see success as now? And for me, back in the day, all of those things you just talked about, the house, the cars, the titles, the positions, and all those other things, that would have been my definition of success. But
Mhm.
now, for me, peace of mind. If I'm happy, there's no stress. I can come and go. The kids are taken care of. The husband's taken care of. Like, I'm taken care of. That's what success is to me. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
nice to have the money in the bank, but I'd rather have a provision that every need that we need is met, right? Or, that there's really no concerns. Yes, I know, when we're walking beautiful, there's going to be some dark times. But even in the dark times, still having a peace of mind to be able to know, okay, in this dark moment, I'm going to still get through it. Even during the moments of doubt, when I'm questioning, am I equipped for this? I still gonna have peace because I know, yeah, it might be a little rocky right now. I don't know who I am at this very moment. Like you're talking about the evolution and the growth. We don't know who we are from day to day. The more God shows us who we are, and when we talked about the allowance of it, when we allow that to come through, it's like, okay, I'm this person today, but then you learn some more, you grow some more, you release some more things. Now you're going to the next level. Okay, well, who am I at this level?
Mhm.
And so it's just like that's like you keep saying, let her exist. It's like, okay, for each level, let her exist to where she is and accept everything that comes with that.
Right. Indeed.
Okay, so how I know, alignment is you've helped me through your human design, figure out and understanding my human design as a generator and just understanding like what does that, I think I was a generator. Yes, I was a generator. I had to remember for a second. But realizing that my passion comes from allowing things to just happen instead of me kind of searching for it. It just come let her exist. Like let the things come that are going to come. And so now I don't have um as much anxiousness, right? Because it's still a work in process of trying to figure it out because it really is one of those things where if okay, I want it to happen, but if it hasn't happened yet, doesn't mean that it's not going to. So talk a
Mhm.
little bit, about the human design element and how you use that to help others come into more alignment with who they are to get away from that achievement piece of things.
Mm. So for one, so human design is like I mentioned personality assessment. So I've been a personality assessment geek, like DISC, Gallup strengths, temper. Like I was just taking all the assessments because it was one of the things that freed me the most. Um, I mean seriously, because I just felt weird. You know what I'm saying? And then like I said, you look around and you see an example of something and you think that that is what right is.
Mhm.
And so when I first learned about temperaments and I read the information on the book on the pages and I was like, "Oh my goodness." I mean, really, I was like, "There's nothing wrong with me." Like, well, there's a little bit, but not
Total.
that. Like, what I'm saying? Just learning that I was an introvert, those things. So then human design came along. So human design has some other elements to it so those are things you take tests, you answer questions, you do things like that. Human design is by your birth date. So it's similar to the life path numbers, that we do. So it just gave such another level of detail that was just like undeniable, right? And I'm just like, God made us like he made us a certain way. And so understanding how you operate, your blueprint, right? But then looking at it in comparison to what we've been doing because of the fact that we grew up around people, we grew up in school, we went to work, we live places, and that all these things started making these impressions on us. And to be honest, we know now we don't live in a free we haven't lived in a free world.
Mhm.
So we haven't really been given you know, the privilege of just doing what understanding what your the things we call instinct and intuition, being able to follow that. But the more you become aware of it, of what it is for you, and your mind will tell you, you remember. You be like, I know usually when this happens, this is what I want to do. But my mind steps in and talks me out of that or makes me think that I should be doing something different. And so over time, it becomes like an experiment. It becomes like an experiment where now you have the awareness. Okay, I know that I usually do this, but let me see what it's like if I just follow what they say your strategy is. So for you, you talked about being a generator instead of trying to force things and push things and say, let me just respond to something that comes across my path or comes my way. That is in alignment, right? With what I know that I want, what I know that what I desire. I know it's what I pray for, but I don't have to make it happen. I don't have to push, I don't have to force. And then when I respond in alignment and in divine timing, things move a little better. Things flow a little better. There's less frustration. Um, there's less disappointment, and things move differently when we allow the things to happen in God's time, and not the time that we try to make things. We try to be the calendar and make things happen by this. I want this by then.
That's the key word, right? In his time. Because how often do we rush the process? Because we want to get God, I need to learn this. Can we just hurry that up? Oh, I thought I learned that. And he like, no, 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 no. Now it's time. Hey, Frida, now it's time for some more things. But it's that's the piece of it. And I was listening to, I guess a short, I don't know, something that came across my thing, and she was talking about um agreeing to the pace of God's will for her life. Because we all say, yes, I want God's will for my life, but do we say that not understanding that it could take some time? You like, God, I said yes. When the door's gonna open, right? But not realizing that there's a whole lot of stuff that we may still have to learn to fully be in alignment with the will that He has for us.
Hmm.
So that's the piece of it all is, are we gonna really wait when He says wait? You know?
Yep. And waiting is hard. I heard this thing that says the thing that we came here to do, like the thing we came here to do is often the hardest thing to do. It's like the hardest thing is where you're gonna struggle the most. So it's like, I came here to do this. So you say, oh, I need to wait. I need to learn how to wait. Waiting is gonna be the hardest thing to do. So you really here to master learning how to wait and learning patience.
Master learning how to wait. Like, I just need to pass the offering right now.
Like we be really thinking we came here to do these grandiose things, and he's like, nope, you about to learn patience on this ride here, and so everything gonna come your way to test you learning patience and learning how to sit on your hands and those kinds of things. So yeah.
Yeah, that yeah, that's a that thing there. Um, oh, I just lost my next question. Something. See, my son Nicholas. We just gonna leave it alone before. Okay. Um, how can someone recognize when they are out of alignment?
um, really, well, it's a lot of ways. Usually when things aren't going a particular way, like people be doing things sometimes, and I'll be like, "How's that working for you?" so like, so how's that been working for you? And then we we have to really paying attention to our bodies.
Okay.
Um, burnout is real. And we talk a lot about burnout in human design. So there's a particular type in human design that's more susceptible to burnout because they think they're here to do all the things, but they don't have what they call like natural, consistent sacral energy. So they're supposed to rest. But in the culture we live in, we haven't always given ourselves permission to rest. We made resting and chilling look like slouch, lazy, I gotta get it, I gotta get it. But you're literally supposed to rest, and you could literally burn out from trying to push yourself past your capacity.
Hold on. You got to
Okay.
say that again.
Okay.
Because let me just raise my hand because I am I'm one that might not be my type, but I just know that I will continue to push until I have really nothing left to give anyone. And then when that happens, that's when I get into the depression. Well,
Mhm.
what's wrong with me? Well, how did I get here? And then you realize, oh, you didn't set the boundaries, or the boundaries were set, but you didn't hold anybody up to them, or you didn't reinforce them on how that's needed. And okay, now I got a headache, so now let me go and lay it down. And your body is going to keep score. Your body's going to tell you, oh, Trina, you doing too much. You need to go sit down, right?
Mhm.
And so, um, Alicia says she learned to rest and rest, and it's hard when you are so used to going, when as women in particular, we're so used to managing, the list, the job, the kids, the husband. We got to get
Mhm.
here, we got to get there, we got to get there. Why? It's like that. That's it. That the Wonder Woman complex, and we got to wear the capes. So it's time to take the capes and throw it away, burn it, like burn it at the because like you said, burnout is so real. And a lot of times we won't listen to the clues that it leaves. Like we'll
Mhm.
get little glimpses of things like, oh, that's happening. And then it's almost like God is say, I told you to sit your butt down. And then now all of a sudden he gives you that big whooping and you like, I done told you. And so now
Mhm.
you don't have you like enforce timeout. Like you have no choice now, right? You can't, you done tweak something in your back so you can't walk. You ain't got no choice but the rest now. So like if we can be intentional with creating rest and saying that it's okay to rest. Cause some what you do? Oh, I'm just laying down. Why you laying down? It's so nice outside. Or we got this to do. I just need to rest. Because being on a go all the time, all day long, like who has time for that anymore?
And what's so funny is that like I said, it said I'm laid back, I'm chill, I ain't in a rush to get to no particular place. Like I'm a meanderer. I like to meander. Like I like to just and I didn't even realize that that was even a gift for other people because
Mm.
I find myself being around people who are not that way. And that shows them something. They're just like, I like the way you just allow things to just happen. You ain't on no time clock. You're on no particular, like you don't have an agenda and things still turn out okay. And so that was a part of myself I had to accept because I thought it looked like, girl, just going with the wind. Like.
Mhm.
So I realized for myself that I still have to find balance, because at some point, yeah, you do need to put a little pep in your step and be about something and get to a particular place. But at the same time, acknowledging and appreciating the gift and the space that that holds for other people to even see that that's a thing, you
Mhm.
know, or they can, oh, I can relax. I cannot, you know, and they found the balance for them. So I found my balance, they found their balance.
That's good. I want to put up what Tiffany said because I think this is a good thing on how rest and self-care must be built in daily. You have to make it a non-negotiable. She's important enough and that helps her wrap around her mind around it. I think we have to, as moms, wives, whatever our role is, we have to understand that we matter too.
Mhm.
And when you look at your to-do list, are you on the list? Or is everyone and everything on the list and you're not? And you really need to be at the top of the list, because if
You really
you
do.
don't have yourself together, if you don't have, the strength, the mental capacity to do anything on the list, nothing's getting done. It's like when mama go down, everybody go down. And that's the thing we have to understand. It's like, do we want to be forced into rest, or do we want to say, okay, let me be intentional
Mhm.
on resting and getting prepared and
Yeah.
just understand that?
Yep. And there's layers to that too, because resting sometimes is not just napping. It's, are you restoring yourself? Are you
That
refueling yourself?
part. That part.
You
Yes.
know? Mhm.
Yep. That part exactly. Um, so you talk with let her exist. I'm looking because I had a couple question notes and things like that. Um, of just letting her be, right? So more or less about giving yourself permission to just be. So if there's someone on here, words that you can tell her is like the step one of how to do that. What does that look like? But don't get too much to where they like, because they got to come to a beautiful encounter to experience the whole thing. But like, give them a little tease of what that looks like.
um, about letting her be. Well, for one, I would say it's acceptance. So that's the whole premise of it. It's like radical self-acceptance. Truly accepting yourself for who you are. Um, and just revisiting the things that you remember being told or that you heard about yourself. Understand this is a part of who you are. Somewhere in your story, somebody might have said you were too much of this. You were not enough of that. You know, then finding the acceptance in yourself and whatever that is. Um, Tiffany said, no, they got to buy their tickets.
Listen, y'all heard it from Tiffany.
I would say the biggest thing is letting her be and learning how to shut out the voices. Learning how, and that sometimes that's even your own voice.
Yep.
Learning how to shut out the voices. Um, and pretty much the same thing I said with the ideas of giving your ideas a chance. Let them stand a chance. Let your person, and there's so many things that you can let exist. You know what I'm saying? Let your creativity exist. Let your dreams exist. So many parts of you and I always found myself as I'm, still going through the evolution, that I'm consistently letting another part of me exist. So earlier, last month, actually a month ago today, March 1st, I was in an adult pageant.
I saw those beautiful
I
pictures.
was in a pageant and I wasn't gonna do it. I was gonna talk myself, but I said, you know what, there's a part of you younger who wanted to do stuff like this. And for the reasons that I wasn't gonna do it are the things that became the let her exist part. It was like I didn't add a whole lot of pressure to it. I showed up. I just really didn't make a big deal about it, and I had fun. Like that was me letting her exist. That was like, stop worrying about, you didn't practice your pageant walk. You don't know how to do the pageant wave. You don't like you did it. It's just like, girl, just go have fun. Like this, the risk is so like low. And then seeing what comes out of that, seeing what comes with it, seeing what comes out of it. And just letting her be, finding space, find yourself some space and give us some room to grow.
I love when posted I love when you first said that this is what you were going through, and before you done it, you has this is what I'm going doing, looking for a dress, those type of things, and then when you shared the pictures to see the joy, and you had the crown and like it, and just as you were speaking about, it was something you always wanted to go. I just heard she let the little girl out to play.
I did.
And it was such a beautiful thing to see, because all of us at some point or another, there's some dream, there's been some type of thing or whatever that we've wanted to do, but because of the limiting belief, somebody said we couldn't do something, whatever, life happens, we let go of that dream. It's kind of like, when you think about maybe you didn't go to your prom, and so as you have kids, you live vicariously through them to go to prom, and then all of a sudden now they got the parent, whatever, the prom for adults, and you go through all that. It's just like, let's get back to the things that we wanted to do.
Hmm.
Like, just because we grew up, who says that we can't still do pageants? Like, you proved it to somebody else that's been thinking about it. Like, hey, if I can do it, so can you. Like,
Right.
it's age ain't a number. Like, if you can do it, you can do it.
And everything you wanted to do before, it's like it could still happen, but it may not look like what you saw, what you thought it would look like.
Yep.
So I've never wanted to be, no, I was gonna say I never wanted to be a singer. I did. I can't sing, but I have all the right hand movements and like I don't know I said what happened at the line, at the gifts line, because I got all the right moves. But anyway, there was this lady one time I went to, I think I was in Mississippi, and I was at a casino. So they had a little bar and they had the band, and the lady was singing, and she was getting down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at her like she is living her best life. But in her younger mind, or in anybody else's mind, when they think of singing, they think I gotta win a Grammy. I gotta sign a record deal. I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And it's like, give yourself every opportunity for something to happen that may not look like what you thought it should look like. I've auditioned for plays. I've just done things based on the fact that you always wanted to do this. So what can happen for you with on the other side of the fear that you had, or the hesitations, or the non-belief in whether you could do something or not, what's possible. So uh doing these things on any level, if I show up to a party and I just play music off my playlist off my phone, I'm a DJ. You know what I'm saying? So because I'm expressing. And so that's the other part of it, is the creative expression of who you
Mhm.
are. So just allowing all those opportunities to just be, all that stuff that's in you, let's just let it go. Let it be.
Nikki, as you were talking it, like, all I hear is let her exist. I'm serious, because you're like, like everything you just spoke. So like you're walking in the let her exist moment, and like now you're enlightening others on what that means, so that we can understand, oh, I need to let her exist. Like, that's a whole movement. That's a whole movement. And you talk about the music, like Nikki is this ain't in her bio either, about the music. But if you need a playlist, like, talk about the playlist creation part of things, like how you'll create a whole playlist based on the person's personality, or however you do your thing, whatever it is. So talk about that.
Well, I hear music. Well, I've loved music ever since I was little. Like I said, I'm not gifted in playing music, but I hear lyrics in such a profound way. I still listen to old music. I listen to the lyrics. I was like, what did he just say? That was the whole word. So sometimes when I'm listening to music, it'll expound on a lesson that I'm reading, or remind me of a person.
There go the screen. I knew it. Nick. Come help me, please. I knew it was gonna fall because he hit it going some one way. You hit the screen, sir. Now it's. Can you come help me, please? Taking a brief intermission. You keep talking, but I'm gonna figure this
All
out.
right.
I'll be right back.
So anyway, just finding music and lyrics that fit appropriate situations. Um, I've sent people playlists based on their personality type, their like whatever their human design story says. I had a song for that. Um, Based on things, that I may happen to know that they're going experience in their life, and just having the right song for the right time. I love lyrics. I love music and lyrics a lot.
I'm sorry, Tiff. Don't be laughing at me in my background. It was leaning, and then I could steadily see it sliding. Mm-mm-mm. But thank you, thank you for carrying on. But despite this is the unscripted part of things, right?
Mhm.
Oh gosh, I am so now I'm thrown off.
But I'm so glad that you found value in the work and in the message. So just as much as you were like, "Oh, she said yes," I was like, "Oh, she asked me."
So I had to because it's the theme for this year is live beautifully, empower, purpose, and presence. And I'm trying to put all the speakers in kind of like the bucket, so we're power. And it was like when I asked you, well, which one do you fall in? Like I had the idea, but then as you talking, I'm like, well, maybe she's really power. But honestly, you cover all three,
Mm,
because in order to exist, I've got to understand the power, right? In order to exist, I need to be able to know my purpose. In order to exist, I need to know there's presence. So, like you
mhm.
covering all three, I'm so God. That was just like God's other wink to say, yeah, you was, I'm glad she said yes, because I was like, I didn't want to be disappointed, because you coming from Georgia, and I am like, I hope she say yes. I hope she say yes. So I am truly grateful because having done the human design work with you, like you saw me, was that did we start before my separation or after? Like probably before, right?
I think it was right around the time, yeah.
So have you helped me process what that looks like and how to get through it, and really understand, because like it's one thing to know the assignment that God gives you. But it's another thing to understand your personality and how you flow, and like the things that you think are wrong with you aren't anything wrong with you, because that's part of your DNA.
Mhm.
And understanding, okay, under my personality type and how God has created me, here's some additional things for me to think about and consider, like the areas to look out for, you know, to be mindful of, like when is it time for me to rest? Like that whole hermit thing. Like I know I can feel it when it's time to shut down. I hear Nikki say sometimes, and I literally was always
Mm.
thinking, like, why do I want to shut down? But
Mhm.
you said it's okay to take a moment and pause, because that's how my DNA, that's how my personality as a generator is built. And it was like ding, 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 like a whole light bulb went off. And I found peace in I found peace in the fact that I could take a pause, reflect, regroup, and then come back together, and now come out even harder than I was, because I gave myself that time to process everything that I was feeling. And I couldn't,
Ooh.
I mean, like, I wouldn't have understood all of that had I not gone through the human design stuff with you.
You know the one that I remember the most, we talked about the melancholy.
Y-
We talked about the melancholy.
Yes,
And you
yes,
was like,
yes.
"I don't know why I feel like this." And then when I said, "Well, your human design said," like, it's a thing. It says, "We go through this." They named it. We go through this thing called melancholy, and it said the key to it is to not try to fix it. It was like, don't, because we try to, I gotta get through this, I gotta get over this. It said, no, go through sit in it, allow it,
Yep.
sit through it, because out of the melancholy comes a new, like, it's a new level of creativity. We usually create something new while we're in that space. So stop trying to fight to get out of it because it's really a thing,
Mhm.
right? Just allow it. So yeah.
Yep. That was there you go, let her exist. It comes back. Like
Yeah.
I mean, but you're right. That melancholy. I mean, I was in a real dark, heavy place. Like I couldn't understand why I was crying. Like, but I couldn't express what I was feeling. And you was like,
Mhm.
just sit in it. I'm like, what you mean, just sit in it? Like,
I
like
don't know.
just
Some you read it, and them words hit you like you just be like, "Wow." Like, "Okay.
and
All
it
right.
was
Okay."
because I think, when you're in that melancholy moment where it's just like no matter what you try and do, I couldn't see beautiful. All I could see was just black, white, and a whole lot of gray or a whole lot of black. And I couldn't like you said, I couldn't make sense of what it was like, what was happening, why I was feeling this way. I didn't really have a reason, but it was understanding, oh, I'm grieving, right? The loss of the job, the loss of friendships, relationships, all of those things seemed to like hit me at one time. And it was just like you said sit. And I was like, okay. Like you made me understand that it was nothing wrong with feeling the way that I was feeling because
Mhm,
it was part of the journey.
mhm.
So thank you
Yeah.
for that. Um, so in talking about let her exist or you being in that presence of let her exist, what's been the biggest challenge for you to let her exist?
The biggest challenge of letting her exist is, um, again, I talk about the voices a lot,
Mhm.
and just, yeah, I think it's the because you know how people be talking about their, whatever it is that they're fighting, and it's usually somebody in their past, like, "My teacher said this to me," or, "My sibling said this to me," and I got these haters, or like I don't have those experiences really. Like nobody tried to crush my spirit or tell me you can't be anything. It's no, like, it is me and me. Like it is me against
Mm.
me through and through. And I'm learning that every time, like even when I'm doing the work myself, and every time I go through another lesson, I'm just like, I be looking for the relationship, even though there's some, challenges and things to work out in certain relationships, but it keeps turning back to the relationship with me. It's the relationship with you. It's like, I don't know where you got this from. Like, I don't even know where you got this from. Where did this come from? So I would say that the biggest challenge has been just trying to, and not even shut out the voices, just be aware that there are voices. And my therapist tells me that all the time. He'd be like, Nikki, you know that those are just voices, right? And I'll be like, oh, yeah, okay.
But I love what you share because I know, part one of the things that God has me do is dealing with the limiting beliefs and what is the limiting belief or what's the perceived flaw and then what God says about that. But then now he's saying, okay, what was the source of that limiting belief? Like, where did the idea come from? Did it come because somebody else said it to you? Or was it because of something you picked up? And so now that's the thing you're holding on to. And how many times have we had like we will have a conversation, like we're supposed to have a conversation with somebody else, right? But we'll play the whole thing in our head. Well, if I say this, she'll say
You
that.
gonna
If I
say
say
that
this,
whole script.
like we go back and forth. But then you realize that sometimes some of the things like you talk about is you against you, is we will have the conversations with ourselves. It reminds me of the cartoons when you had like the little angel here and the devil here on Bugs
Mhm.
Bunny, and you just go. That's how we sometimes are. Like we will. I know this is what God told me to do, but you're really not equipped to do that because you got fired from your job. But He's equipping you with everything that you're capable. But like we'll go. The thoughts will take us out.
Yep.
And it's understanding, okay, sit with the thoughts, figure out the source, but then now what are you going to do with it? Are you
Mhm.
going to let the negative ones win? Are you going to say, God, I need the strength to be able to let these positive ones, what you called and told me to do, to be stronger, louder than the doubt, the fear, the procrastination, all of the different dark parts of us. Like
Mhm.
now it's like, let's shine the light on the bright pieces of it so you can let her exist.
Right.
That's how you got to do
And reworking that story, because even for the thing with the voices was, even with this experience with the pageant, and not so much just with the pageant, but with me even like putting it on Facebook or whatever. And me in my mind, all I always hear is, this is a couple of voices. I hear the voices criticize. It was critical voice.
it. Hmm.
But then on the flip side of that, there was so much encouragement. There was so much. I mean, it was coming from places I had to even imagine. And so I said, look at you, talking to little Nikki, look at you.
Oh,
I said, look, now you have a different story to tell yourself, because those couple of voices, there's way more people. Like you had way more support than those couple of little voices that you kept hearing. So now you have these new voices to now drown out those one or two that kept playing on repeat.
like a broken record.
Like there's just two probably playing
Yep.
on repeat, and now you have more to counter those thoughts. It's just demonstration. Like it's not. I'm not putting too much confidence in that. You know what I'm saying? For other people's approval, but as a demonstration that you now have something different to counter that
That's so good. That's so
with.
good. One of my questions was, what was the affirmation that you use to guide you? But it's let her exist. Like that's it. There's nothing. That's it. So y'all, Nikki is going to be presenting one of the speakers for a beautiful encounter. Get your tickets at beautifulencounter.com. Be in the room. This is just a little tip of what she's going to deliver. I know it's going to be powerful just because of the sessions that we've had and just seeing her flow and her gift. Nikki, how can they get connected with you?
Ooh. I didn't
Give
know
them
that
all that
question was.
social stuff.
My socials are so janky. Well, no, I have a Facebook.
Not
No, they
Jay.
are. They are. They really are. But I'm letting them exist, right? I have help now, and help is on the way.
Yay.
My Facebook page is FlowLife Solutions. I have a little private Facebook group called Deep Voices Higher Calling, which is, we're still trying to define what it is, but I was doing something similar to what Katrina's doing here on Thursday evenings, um discussions, and those will be starting back mid-April, well, in the middle of the month, I think the 17th, we're restarting those. And what is it called? Email address, info@flowlifesolutions.com. The website the website is in progress. Um, but yeah, if you're interested in just learning, a little bit about what human design is, or how you can learn your human design, I will share a link later that just takes you to the web page where you could just put in your information and say, "Oh, I'm a generator, a manifesting generator," and it'll tell you these little cool things about yourself,
Mhm.
and it'll spark your curiosity, and if You can go as deep as you want to go into it. So
That's and I think that's the thing is, you when I did the class with you and you walking me through and I got the books and I'm sitting here like, oh, that's a good thing. And then highlighting and then I'm taking more notes and then I'm coming back to, well, what does this mean? And then you go deep with everything. Then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like when you said to when you did one of the live, I think it was one of your lives in your group and you came up, you said, live in the question. And remember, I said to you,
Mhm.
that just kept sticking with me. And
Mhm.
God just kept bringing it back to me. And so we ended up doing it in my group as, one of the themes for the month. But if I hadn't heard that, if like I heard it from you and then I was watching something on TV and I heard it again, I was like, okay, God, that's where, but just to like, that's how deep Nikki is. Like little stuff she gonna say, and you're like, oh, what does that mean? Let me dig a little deeper. But you all follow her, get your human design done, entry the intro to it, right? And then
Mhm.
allow her to walk you through what that means, just so you have a little bit more clarity on how everything works and how you're not, you won't say, well, what's wrong with me? Okay, well, listen, this is built into who you are. And so,
And it's just so simple. I just reached over and grabbed this, and I'm just going to end with this just to give an
okay.
example. And this is part of my human design, and it is part of the whole letting her exist because I kept thinking that I wasn't doing my purpose. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Are you being it? But it's allowing yourself to be it because
Hmm.
I kept trying to hold back the things about me that I thought was weird and quirky, right? Like, that's stupid. Nobody, like, that doesn't make any sense. But no, it's the thing you're here to share. So here's what it says about me. So one of the things that I said, I'm always doing these things. Like you said, you would have never known about living the question had I not said it. I say these things as a simple thing because I'm reading and I'm listening to something and I share it. And then it helps somebody way more, right? Than what I thought I was looking for me. So I always used to say, I feel like I'm like Dorothy from The Wiz and I'm just trying to get home and I'm trying to just help bring these people along with me and then they find they have these things all along and I still can't get home,
Hmm.
but it's about the journey. So just reading this from my own dealing with this thing we have this like the self-doubt. It says um everything for you begins with a question, and you must carve the path of your own life out of these questions. You need only remember one thing: the questions are not for you, but for others. If you think that you will find a sense of peace from finding an answer, you will live a life of anxiety because another question will always be there.
Wow.
And it says the questions are there so that you can find an answer for someone else. Every book you read, every system or technique you learn or study is really so that you can be of service to others. It is through service that you will ultimately find the sense of fulfillment you are seeking. And that was it. It was just like, yep, share, read, study, do what you do, and don't be afraid to share it. Just share. And that's me being my purpose,
Yep.
and let so I have to give the room to allow that to exist. Stop thinking all the things and say, that seems simple, but when I share something with somebody and they say it helped them, I needed that or whatever, I'm done for the day. I'm like,
That's so
all
good.
right, God, that's okay. So just be more me.
That's so good because we think about, especially when challenges, we understand, well, why, God, why is this happening to me? And we know, okay, it's not happening. It's happening to us, but it's not for us. It's for the next person that's coming across. And that's just what you said. Like our heart, what we do is not for us anymore. right? It never what we think it is, but it's not. It's for the next person. Thank you for that share. Thank you for being on here with me tonight. Sorry, my
Sure.
invisible friend. He would have loved this. So we're gonna have to definitely bring you back when he's here.
All right.
But if y'all want to experience Nikki, seriously, get your tickets for a beautiful encounter at a beautifulencounter.com. Thank you so much, beautiful bit, for your yes and for being here. And I cannot wait to see you in for in person so I can hug your neck and all of those things. So,
Thank you.
okay. Well, y'all have a good evening. Thank you for joining us for this great conversation. Yeah, Tiffany said, let me show this one. Tiffany said, power example of letting her exist. I'm telling you,
Wow.
Nikki, there's something powerful there. Like God got you. God got it. But we will see y'all next week when we are introducing our next speaker. Wait, introducing? No, I think we're bringing Yolanda back. I don't remember. It's all running together now. I don't remember who's with me next week, so y'all just tune in to see. But I will talk to y'all next week. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you.